Then I was telling her last week, my daughter made an appointment for me to go somewhere with the same. I was trying to come here to do African dance. If you follow me, you're going to see a lot of dance over there because I feel bad because my father owned the church in 1959, 58 in Africa. He said it's a holy center for my father's church. He was a missionary before I was born, before my mama. Then before I didn't know I'm going to come here. We are focused on culture. Then my father used to be builder. He's a minister that he do building. Then my father is a trader. She buy the thing from Walmart, the coast, and the Publix, and that's how she trade us. We were 7. Now we have 3 common. We have 4 people left. Then my mom passed away.
Oh, wow.
My thing is, I want to do African culture. So 2015, I did my father's church. I have a non-profit organization. My dream is to connect with African people. My dream is because it's not everybody can go to Africa like her. We need the African people we here. We don't have to be ashamed being African. We have to show our sister. Don't listen to what they say with monkey. We have people say, are you Mexican? I said, no. They speak Spanish. As I'm African, who speak like this in Spanish? Because they say you're light skin,
You're supposed to be from the DR, Dominican Republic, you're Puerto Rican.
Right.
I'm so happy I've been doing hair since 2023 years. Then now my translation, I have a collard green, I have a ginger, I have everything, sugar cane, anything you need, you call me. I have a basil, I have a calulu, I have a bitter leaf, anything you need. I have a mangoes, I have a guayaba, you need anything kind of seed. I have a turmeric, anything you need it, come to my garden, I'll give you. But now it's burning.
Right, yeah.
I have a moringa, you need moringa, call me.
Yes, I need moringa.
Okay. I don't know which is.
All right, my sister. Love you.
Sorry to take your time.
Right, thank you.
Roll with the punches and just adapt. So I'm that person. We can roll with the punches. So, again, informal. So Linda is one of the artists. She's a friend of mine. We have things in common, like we both were in insurance, the insurance industry for many, many years. And then we met at Hannibal Cultural Center because there were a group of us that we got together and we started doing art quilts. So I'm just gonna ask you really quickly, how did you get started doing art quilts? And then,
I only do art quilts. Do not ask me to do a quilt that you put on your bed. Because I ain't gonna be able to.
Is it smaller size?
Yeah. Small sizes, they can be pretty large too.
Okay.
It just depends on, what you want. But I'm not the person that would put a quilt on your bed.
Okay.
I just do.
This is art.
Yeah, I just do small artwork. My mom was a seamstress when I was growing up, and I started painting in the beginning because I was sick. And then during that time frame, my husband was like, or I should say my son, Mom, some of your art look better than that artwork that's downtown Orlando. I said, oh, he said, you should go down there. I went down there, put one of my pictures in, and it sold. And from that point on, I considered myself an artist.
There you go.
I got with one of our mutual friends. I don't know if anybody knows her, Jane Turner. She's an artist.
from Eatonville.
And she was doing an exhibit down at the Winter Park Museum. And that's where I met Pam, another lady called Jane, I knew Jane from exercise. I met Lauren
Austin, who's a fiber artist.
Is a fiber artist. What's her name? Light skinned lady.
Marva? Not Lisa Moore. So it was a bunch of us.
It was a bunch of
we
us
used
down
to
there,
work.
and
We
they
used to get
invited
together
me.
at Hannibal Cultural Center.
They
and
invited
quilt.
me to go down to the Hannibal, and I said, oh, okay. So I went down there, and we became best of buds.
Right.
And we used to go down there and just talk and just about everything. And we would ask each other questions. Somebody may ask me, how'd you do that? So we would learn from each other.
Okay.
Yeah. same.
Focus, yeah.
Yes.
So if I could, let me ask you, because I know the piece, I'm puzzled. So some of you may not know Valeda Llewellyn. So she is an author, she's a poet, and this is a piece that Linda did that has part of Valeda Llewellyn's spoken word. And so you want to talk about a little bit about how that piece came together?
Well, that piece came together basically when Valeda gave me her poem. She knew my sister, and so my sister told me, she said, I'm not the artist, okay? She'll do a quilt for your bed. I'm not gonna do it. So she asked my sister to interpret her poem.
Okay.
So she gave it to me, and I just drew a couple of notes or whatever, sent it over there to her. She said, I love it. Go with it. There it is. There it is. And
Which one is this?
The one, the purple and the gold, the first piece.
the first one.
Oh,
And it's basically about education
okay.
and how and why are they taking us out of the history books when we made the history.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay? So that's basically what it's about, us being educated. We've been educated. We've been queens and kings
And queens and
from all-
creators, inventors, yes.
from Kenya and all over the
Yes,
world.
yes.
Okay?
And what
So,
amazes you is we came from a foreign countries.
yes.
And then we learn the way they do things.
Right, right,
Yes.
right.
So we're the brilliant ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's how that picture.
Okay.
We all spoke
Done.
English.
Yes. Because
Yes.
of course Shalini is Indian, and India was colonized by the British too.
Yes.
Speak
Right.
English.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was getting ready to tell her the same thing. Spanish people, they anyway. It should be a native language in the United States, English, because that's what they should be speaking.
That's a whole nother topic for
Yes.
conversation.
That's more for the government.
So yeah, so I was gonna ask you about government, because now remember I said there were themes that I was working with in Swahili, and so because I know Linda personally, in fact, I know all of the artists personally, so I approached them and they agreed. So when I saw the government piece, because remember I said one of the themes was I was showing connections between education and politics. So when I did the discussion with Dr. White, we talked about all of the African leaders who had been educated at HBCUs, like the first president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, who went to Lincoln, which is right outside Philadelphia. Yeah, so y'all didn't know that, now did you? And then there was the president of Malawi, who had gone to Wilberforce, which is in Ohio. And then he went to medical school. And then there was another connection, because a law professor I had at Temple, when I was at the University of Ghana Law School, he was there. That was his introduction into Temple, and he had been instrumental in helping Malawi draft their constitution and other legal documents. So there were all these connections that we talked about, and that fit into the theme of education. But yes, give us a few insights into the piece that you call government.
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 I was looking at everything that was going on, how they take away, all they want is money. You know, they don't want to help people. Let me move back. So it's not about just black people, but it's about everybody that's over here. And everybody should be looking at, you know, the change that they have on us. We need to vote. We need to get out and vote and make sure that we have people in the government that's going to help us, not pull us down. So that's why I put on there, they really need, if you're going to look at government and you want to go by law, then go by God's law. Because according to his law, he's supposed to love you. We're not supposed to be doing all this other stuff. I rest my case.
And so that was interesting because on my social media, I don't know how many people were aware that we had a group of Buddhist monks that started in Dallas, Texas, and they were walking for peace.
Yeah.
And they walked from Dallas, Texas to Washington, D.C. And they had a dog that was called a Loca. And the dog was a stray that they had acquired in India. And then they did whatever they needed to do to bring the dog with them. And so I don't know if people know anything about Buddhists, but there's a Buddhist monastery in Mims that I go to. It's called White Sands. They're on Facebook. It's a beautiful, 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 peaceful place. And so, you know, I'm fortunate that I know people of different religious faiths, and I've been to various temples and mosques and all that kind of good stuff. But it struck me that they were sending a message, because think about it. They walked 2,300 miles. And if you know anything about Buddhist monks, number one, they're very, I don't want to say isolations, but they do kind of sort of keep to themselves and they stay in their temple. But they were literally walking. It was a group of, I want to say maybe 20 something of them. And one of them, in the process of walking, was struck by a car and had to have his leg amputated. Okay? But I followed their social media, and their message was one of compassion and one of peace and one of empathy. And these are all qualities that we need to have, which we're living in times where, you know, we got some issues.
Yes.
And so this was all very germane to, as I was thinking about the theme and the people that I reached out to, that I knew they had works that would kind of sort of evoke that. And so if you didn't know that when you were looking at the art, those were kind of sort of behind the themes that were going on.
Well, basically, if you look at each one of these pieces, it tells a story.
Yes.
Whether or not the artist is here or not, to be able to tell you the story, each one of them has a story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing I want to say is artists, you know, art is political. And so there's a friend, Pamela Edwards, who's not here, but she just came back from, it was called QuiltCon in Raleigh, North Carolina. And some of the pieces that the women did were so freaking political, you would not believe. But like she said, we're telling stories. And so we were part of a group of quilters. We called ourselves the Hannibal Story Quilters because our art quilts told a story.
Okay.
And so if I can, I'll find the link and I'll put it in my social media where you get to see some of the artwork that these women did, and it was all very political. But we know in these days and times, as African Americans, even Africans, music, art, literature, political. That's how we find our voice, because you know we don't have a voice. So we have to use art, literature, music to express ourselves. So thank you, my sister.
Yes. And I will be down at the Castleberry City Hall on this Saturday, coming up this 7th. Chiquita is also having her opening up too here. And hopefully I'll be able to do both.
So yeah, we'd be double and triple, because already today I was at Winter Park. They had an exhibit there,
Yes.
so we'd be sometimes hitting 2 or 3 places trying to support each other, because as a community, that's what we have to do. You know, we have to support each other, and we have to get the word out that art is beautiful. Art, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder, but they tell a story. And so for artists who are here, you can ask them what the story is, and those of us that know the artist, we may be able to tell you the story if the artist is not here. So yay! So now I'm gonna have Najiri. So Najiri is from Kenya. And so Najiri, I first came across her work. It was at the Orlando Museum of Art. And so you were chosen, what exactly were you chosen as?
Florida Prize in Contemporary Art, People's Choice.
And what,
2024.
thank you. And was that during the time you were still working on your MFA, or had you already gotten your MFA?
I graduated in May 2024.
Okay,
But I was working on the stuff for the show when I was still a student.
okay.
So when I was doing the actual show when it opened in May, I don't remember which came first, my graduation date or the opening of the show.
Okay.
But they were like happening simultaneously.
And so for those of you that don't know, an MFA is a Master in Fine Arts. And so we're gonna,
Congratulations.
Yes, ma'am.
and another little interesting twist, she got it from UCF. And guess what? What do you do at UCF now, my sister?
I'm a professor there.
Okay, white girl magic.
Not to mention she's exhibited at the Orlando Museum of Art.
Which not to mention that she wasn't here for the opening because she was an artist in residence at a show in Mexico City. And I had to wait for her to come back from Mexico City for her to incorporate her art. So I thank you.
Thank you.
So, Miss Nigerian, what would you like to share with us? Would you like to sit there? Would you like to come front and center? You can do whatever you like. We just want to hear. See, I know a little bit about you because there's an organization, a friend of mine, Judith, who's Jewish, founded a women's artist group. And they had an annual meeting or semi-annual meeting in Savannah. And I got to go to Savannah. And Najiri was one of the speakers. And so I got to learn a lot of stuff, but I ain't gonna tell y'all, because you know, it is what it is, okay? But Miss Najiri, so Najiri has some of her pieces exhibit here. And so maybe you could just share with us what went into some of the pieces or how you became interested in art. And I know you have another degree other than a master's in fine arts. Why don't we start there?
All right. Thank you so much. So my pieces, we have those two lit up ones, and I have those three next to this big one, the three of them.
The three right next to the big one?
Yes.
Right there. We got Vanna, my niece Kiara, pointing them out. Uno, dos, tres. Perfect.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you so
This
much.
one looks
Fab.
like you, actually. Right?
It is her. It is her.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you for the really nice introduction. I am so honored to be here. I'll sit because it feels very intimate
And that's what we want,
conversational.
yes.
Yeah. So I moved here in 2021, and before that, I had just graduated in Kenya. I did a bachelor's in fashion design, so my background is in fashion. I use a lot of textiles. So I was an MFA student at UCF for 3 years, and I was lucky that the community was really warm and accepting, and I got a lot of friends and got to show my work around Orlando, and that's how I got to meet Pam. But my work empowers, but also highlights some of the things that are wrong with politics. Like you can see, these are very beautiful, colorful, inviting, but I have the charcoal drawing there of a woman wrapped up, or the other colored one in the bottom where this woman, her face is half wrapped up. So with those works, I highlight the silencing, the suppression and oppression of women, sometimes political, but sometimes very internalized and through culture, through cultural traditions, political norms, religion even, and even societal expectations of women, but sometimes it's just so heavy, it's very suffocating, because you gotta do this for a woman, just so many expectations. So that's the kind of work I do, but I try not to feed just one narrative, especially coming from Kenya. I don't want to feed a narrative that African culture is oppressive. So I do both works where I am doing that kind of work, but I'm also doing this. And you can see the top one there. If you go close to it, the orange one, it has a lot of hand embroidery with beaded work and gold thread. So that's an elevation, and the inspiration is from stained glass. I grew up in Kenya, and I saw a lot of stained glass artwork, but they never really had people who looked like me. And then we had like the white Jesus posters everywhere. So with these lit up pieces, like you can see the rays of light, very inspired by religion, and putting myself there in that place And if you see some of my exhibitions, like when I have huge spaces like tall walls, I do intentionally hang up my work really up there, and I do these really huge installations so that people are, the work becomes imposing, and you literally have to look up to my work, and they gaze in my work. You can look up my website to see some of my work. But
What
I
is your
like to-
website so people know where to find you?
jerrykinithia.com, and the name tags have my name for the spelling.
Oh, Lynette, okay.
But when I do that, oh, and I have business cards in my purse too,
Yay,
so I can
thank
pass
you,
this out.
thank you.
But when I'm doing that, it's not really about me. It's not about elevating myself. It's about elevating people like me. Like at the museum, I had this portrait of myself dressed in huge fabric. We're talking like lots and lots of feet of fabric. I lost track of how big the fabric was, but it was draping from the wall and taking over the entire space. And my gaze was looking down. So when museum visitors were just looking up and wowing at the installation and the portraits, the simple act of them looking up to me and me looking down to meet their gaze becomes political in that moment, and it becomes a reclamation of power, especially as a small Black woman, and then seeing these people in power, and the only way they can access my work is literally putting their necks all the way up.
All right.
I saw that exhibit, it was
Yes.
captivating.
Absolutely.
It was really,
And if I could
really
just ask you, because in Kenya and Tanzania, there's a specific cloth that is used that has Swahili sayings in it. Could you share a little bit? And so when I went to Tanzania, I bought some of the cloth, and I bought it at the time based on colors and the pattern. And then when I came home, I did Google Translate, or I have a friend who's from Tanzania, and then I translate. And I was amazed at all the pieces I chose. The sayings were so apropos. So you want to talk a little bit about the history of the cloth?
Oh, that is so. I unfortunately don't have any of these.
No, none of them
here,
have the cloth.
But so I make really large installations made of textiles that are sewed together, and some of the fabric is directly from Kenya. My mom sends them to me, and they have Swahili text. So women use these fabrics to communicate indirectly. And it's really funny because some of them can be passive aggressive, some of them are very positive, some of them are religious. But we have the kind that are so passive aggressive, it's hilarious. So that when you're trying to tell your neighbor something, instead of starting a fight or a quarrel, you just wear the fabric next to them and then or you are going to gift it to them. And if they confront you about the text, you'll just say, I gifted it to you because I love the text. I love the colors in it. It's not really about the text. So I always wondered as a child why my mom had really interesting text on her fabric. And so some of the textiles I have, my favorite one says, and I'm translating in Swahili, so from Swahili, so it's a little bit longer, but it says, stop waiting for what you're getting for free, go out and seek your own. So I imagine if you have a neighbor who's pestering you, borrowing stuff, never returning them, always knocking at your door, the best way to settle that is buy this fabric and gift it to them. And then there's a way you can get away with it because you'll just say, I really love the design and thought it will look good on you, right?
Yeah.
So I started using those textiles, especially because I knew I could get away with some things. And also, there's some work I make also for my people back in Kenya for them to really see, and so they're more likely to understand the Swahili. The last one I did is written Nyani haoni kundule. That's a Swahili saying that says that a monkey does not see its behind. So it laughs at the monkey's butt in front of them without realizing its butt's also out. I don't know if it's a monkey or a baboon. So I did that. it did such a pain was me wearing booty shorts and the back of the shorts was saying that. And so when my people in Kenya see that, especially where women are really judged for how they dress, like how dare you go out with your shoulders out, Pam? How dare you?
I know,
right?
and you too, Missy.
Supposed
We're
to
not
be-
gonna get started
how
on
dare
you.
I know.
I know.
Okay, we show our shoulders. We're supposed to be proper women.
Yes.
But so that saying was telling people that we complain about Pam and I with having our shoulders out, but there's so many other things within us that we don't see just because we're busy laughing at the butt that we see in front of us, not realizing we have our own. So yeah, that's how I use text in my work, and it's usually really fun.
Okay.
Well, I want to just thank you so much for sharing that story. You know, this is really the whole point of this gallery. It's called A Perfect Union Art Gallery, celebrating American diversity. And we want artists like Jiri to be in a position where they're sharing their art but telling stories through the art. And I just love the fact that you shared that story because we learned something. We could never get so deep into your culture where we would just get that on our own. So we appreciate you sharing that. And because of experiences like this, we learn more about each other. We learn from each other, and we learn on a certain level that we are so much more alike than we are different. So I
Ushirikiano,
appreciate
connections. Come on now.
Connections. Thank you. Thank you, Pam. You came up with that.